Could you imagine making a game with over 1 billion visits, but later down the line, it silently starts disappearing from the charts? Well, in today's video, we'll be going through another 9 popular Roblox games that somehow dropped to its last players within years or even in months, with some developers passing away or with games being deleted, starting with Get Eaten. Now, Get Eaten was an extremely popular game back in 2015 to 2017, and you can just tell from the thumbnail that it was from that period. I mean, wasn't this dog named Doge, who was a main meme back in 2016? And although it was popular from 2015 to 2017, it was actually made 15 years ago, which is almost 2 decades. But now, if we look at the active players, it usually bounces around from 100 to 200, and can't even get up to 500 players anymore. Now, this game was a very unique game back then, and I would still consider it to be unique even till now. You would spawn in a map that looks like this, and there were a load of food and different items that were actually just vehicles that you could ride, and you would use these to slide down a pretty long slide and then finally get eaten by giants. Then you'd end up coming out of a pretty interesting hole, and then you'd basically do this over and over and over again to get some more points for better slides to get pooped out of. But I guess with this, we could clearly already see how repetitive it is. But something that's quite interesting about this game is that you can travel back to the old versions of the game. So like, if you were to head to the 2015 version, it would look like this, which is honestly pretty cool. But I'm not too sure if it actually saves your points or not. This was when the game was in its prime. I mean, we could see how many views this game was getting on YouTube, like how this one video by Ethan Gamer TV got 25 million views and was posted all the way back in 2015. So this game was a hit, but it just couldn't hold itself on the charts. But would you believe me if I said a game with 2 times the visits is actually doing worse right now? Well, this game is Flood Escape, which has over 580 million visits. Now, Flood Escape is a very OG game on Roblox and had lasted for quite a while, and you've most likely played it. Even in 2015, I used to be on this game quite a lot, as it was one of the most unique ideas in Roblox history. But of course, many old games in the past have not survived, even with such good ideas, and one of them were Flood Escape. So why did it eventually lose all of its players and fall down? Well, let me show you what I found out real quick. This game was made by a developer named Crazy Blocks, and was released in 2010, and if you forgot how this game was played, or haven't played it before, let me quickly remind you of how it was played. When you spawn in the lobby, there were 3 different levels that you could play in, which were easy, medium, or hard. And when you pick either elevator, you would finally spawn in a random map and have to complete each level to win. You also needed to press every button around each map to unlock the metal doors to get to the next stages, which eventually would lead to the next room. While this was happening, water would slowly rise up, and if you fell into the water, you would just explode into blocks, of course. And at the end, here was a part that you needed to enter a code to finally escape, and when you win, you're then awarded with some coins and XP. Now, this game was already really fun and entertaining, so why did he make another version of Flood Escape and name it Flood Escape 2? You see, the developer, Crazy Blocks, didn't make another Flood Escape just because the first one was popular. He made Flood Escape 2 because the first one was completely outdated and wanted the game to become a lot more advanced. I mean, this game was struck with a content deletion due to an accidental moderation, and this didn't just once, but twice yet again with a content deletion due to the same reason. From here, we could already see the fragile state that this was in, and from the creation of Flood Escape 2, players had to choose which one to go to, and most of them picked Flood Escape 2, which has a couple more active players and visits than the first one, and even many of their fans still miss the old one and want it to still get more updates instead of just abandoning it forever. But this game has a darker reason of why it fell off, and this is the normal elevator. Now, this game was really popular in 2017 and even achieved 100 million visits in the same year. Before then, it also won a Bloxy Award back in 2015, which was really hard to win at a time like that. But of course, just like other old games, it will soon meet its death. So the concept of the game was really simple. All you had to do was just get into an elevator with other players, and after a couple of seconds, the elevator would open up to another map each time. Some of them had mini games games, and others just had a bunch of random stuff. Now, the interesting thing about this game is the weird lore behind it, and after hearing this, you won't think this elevator is anywhere near normal. You see, there's this hidden badge right here named Gavin's Story, which is actually currently closed, meaning that no one can get it. Now, in the normal elevator, you would notice that there's a door that you can't get through, but if you actually manage to glitch through instead, you would get yourself into this glowing red room. Then, if you do this again with the second door, there would be an elevator that takes you to a game named Mistaken, and when you teleport there, this is what happens.
You shouldn't have come. You are not welcome here, but it's too late.
Then yeah, it would basically just kick you. But if we actually head over here to this door, it will actually take you all the way back to the 2017 version. And you probably remember this padlock here where you'd have to enter a code. Well, this code could actually be found in another game named The Normal City, which is completely dead. But if you go into the game and find this rock, when you click on it, it will open up a hole which says, "I may be dead, but I'm not gone," with the code being underneath it. And once you get the code, you can now use it to unlock this door. Then when you type it in, you'll get teleported to this pretty dark room, and all of those people we saw earlier are now dead. So when you step in the elevator, it basically just starts to get into a storyline that we won't get too much into. But yeah, the story pretty much just starts to get even more crazier and weirder. And they also had Easter eggs, which were connected to all of this. Like when the elevator drops you off at this Speedrun 4 map, there's a secret passageway that you can enter, which takes you to the very dark room with 4 abandoned elevators, with one of the 4 having blood leaking from it. So without context, seeing this would be quite concerning. But just to let you know, this isn't based on a true story that actually happened, it's just some lore that the developers wanted to add to the game. But either way, this game was also put on uncopylocked, meaning anyone could just copy and paste his game if they feel like it, which is why when you search up the normal elevator, there's just a load of copies that pop up. But I guess this doesn't matter because as of today, the normal elevator still remains in 2025. But this next game that we're about to head to was actually left for a lot more longer, and this game is Treelands. Although this game only had 16 million visits, it was still considered to be popular and required paid access for 25 Robux. Now, I didn't really play this game as much, but the aim was to build a tree house by collecting fruit, then selling the fruit to the market man in the middle, and growing your tree house by collecting bigger and more expensive fruit, and getting more money to purchase things such as vehicles, which made it much easier to collect. And yeah, this description sort of sounds similar to Lumber Tycoon, but instead it's just fruit instead of wood. But this game was super fun, and had lots of unique elements that made it stand out over other Roblox Tycoon games, such as the combining of fruits to make a much bigger fruit, flying vehicles like helicopters and blimps. And I won't lie, walking through these streets just feels like a ghost town since no one plays it. And maybe that's because it hasn't gotten an update in years, but why? Well, that's because the development of this game has been discontinued due to the passing of one of the main developers. And later on, the owner of Fissy Games went ahead and made a Reddit post of what happened and said, "The effects of losing this important individual had deep ramifications for our team. This individual was with us from the beginning, and their loss caused a senior member of our team to spiral into a deep depression. So because of this member passing away, the rest of the team couldn't really hold themselves, but in her honor, they released a limited time car, which included her name. For reasons that I shouldn't detail here to respect this team member's privacy, this caused the atmosphere within our community to become deeply unhealthy and toxic, and I knew I needed to leave. And by then, the game fell off completely because their team fell apart." The developer also explained that the coding of this game was like really bad, which was irreversible and almost impossible to make changes. But believe it or not, but the main developer, Fissy, actually decided to move on from this and make Adopt Me, which we all know today that this is one of the most popular Roblox games that have stayed on top of the charts for a decade. But sadly, Treelands will never come back due to the passing of one of the members. Now, this next game's reason of their downfall included a developer being arrested, and this game is Vehicle Simulator. a game that used to be one of the biggest driving experiences on Roblox, but is now completely abandoned. So what happened, and why is it never getting another update? So if you've never played Vehicle Simulator, let me explain. This game came out in 2014, made by a developer called Sim Builder, and at the time, there wasn't really anything else like it on Roblox since most racing games back then were just simple track race games. But Vehicle Simulator was different as it was the first open-world driving experience where you could drive cars, fly planes, and even sailboats at all in one game. I mean, you could even get jobs to earn some more money, and using this money, you could adjust everything from your car's handling to its top speed. So it was actually insane for a game that was made back in 2014. I mean, it was basically related to Forza, but in Roblox. Now, many players thought this game would have had insane success, like Murder Mystery or Adopt Me. Even later down the line, the game got even bigger with a Hot Wheels collaboration, which brought in tons of new players. But, as you might have guessed, everything took a quick turn. You see, many people were making videos explaining how to fix the lag in the game, and this is the one point where Vehicle Simulator had a grain-baking bug that kept everyone's FPS at 20, no matter what PC they were using. Like, imagine trying to race other players while your game is running like a slideshow. It was basically unplayable, and the worst part is that it took forever to fix, because by the time the developers finally patched it, it didn't matter, because most players already left. Now here's the part that ended the game entirely. You see, Roblox has these yearly events named RDCs, which are pretty big events only for the top game creators. And although these are very big, Sim Builder was also actually invited, but came without an invitation, stating that he actually was invited to RDC 23, though he arrived a day late without a lanyard. But this isn't it, of course, because during the same night, he was booked on charges involving concealment of a firearm inside a motor vehicle. Now, of course, he wasn't going to use two to light up the place, but the firearm that he owned was for personal self-defense, and was registered in Arizona, and sadly, he was in California at the time due to him being unknowing of California's gun laws. So in result of this, he was jailed for 1 year, then later had his account banned from Roblox. And this all happened in 2023, which is the same year that this game was put to a stop. But I think that's enough of that drama, so let's hop into the next game, which is Be Crushed by a Speeding Wall. Now, most people think that this game was actually made back in 2016, but what if I told you that there was actually a previous version before this one? Well, believe it or not, but Be Crushed by a Speeding Wall was actually made by this developer right here, whose name is Nintendo, and when we go on to the game, there's not a single player on it, but maybe that's because the game was made all the way back in 2008, which actually came out a day after that natural disasters did. And when you go in the game, nothing actually works, of course, since the game is completely outdated. I mean, even in the description, it's talking about Builders Club, which is how we know this game's been abandoned for quite a while. But even though this one got abandoned, why is the current one almost falling in the same line as the first? Well, the concept of the game was really good, but also way too repetitive. And I know that some old games that were repetitive are still on the charts today, but Be Crushed by a Speeding Wall just didn't have enough to it. I mean, you would go into this long hallway, and the wall would go back and forward when the button was pressed by a player, and this was really unique at the time, but unfortunately age killed it off. It's not even that the developer completely abandoned the game or anything. It still gets a couple of updates now and then, but unfortunately, it will most likely not make it back to the charts. But hey, maybe you can play the modern day version of this game. But although this game is still available, this next game was deleted and completely wiped off of Roblox, and this game is Survivor. And yeah, when you go on the game, it's completely deleted and cannot be found. So what happened? Well, this game was made back in late 2016 and is considered to be one of the most unique ideas on Roblox till this day, and when you were to hop into the game back then, you would spawn in this map and then later be teleported to this ship, and this is where you'd need to choose your tribe leader, and once they were chosen, they would get to pick which players could be on their team. Once the teams were sorted, you would have to compete in mini-games and make sure that you perform well without losing, because if you did, the losing team would have to cast out a member of their team, which is pretty diabolical. So I guess, if you're bad, you'd have a pretty tough time playing this game, and not gonna lie, but each round took super long to finish. I mean, this guy literally had a whole series of episodes for just one gameplay, which is pretty insane. insane. But even though this idea was really good, this idea wasn't actually original, and instead was basically based off of the show, Survivor, which literally had the same concept. But at the time, I actually thought this was based off of Total Drama Island, which I thought was way more similar. But either way, Survivor received a content deletion due to a copyright violation. So when you click on the game, it unfortunately just brings you to this. But this isn't too bad after all, right? Because the same owner actually made a sequel, which is Outlaster. But yeah, I didn't actually play this version, and I won't get into the gameplay since it's basically just the same as the first. But to be honest, the game isn't doing too badly since it averages at about 500 players and sometimes gets to 1,000 players at its peak. So in the end, it sort of made a comeback but can't get back up to their original player count since the first game is nowhere to be found. So when you go ahead and type up roleplay, you'll just end up seeing a load of pretty popular games. I mean, we see games like Brookhaven, ERL, Newsmith, Berry Avenue, but of course, the most popular game that's currently on top on the roleplay genre is Brookhaven, which is still doing very well. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention Bloxburg too, of course, since this game has been around for a very long time and is still doing great. But now, what if I told you there were roleplay games back then that were on top of the charts, but have now been taken over by these new ones? And yes, one of the most popular roleplay games back then was Robloxian Life. Now, think about it like this. This game was basically the old version of Brookhaven and was the main roleplay game back in the day with games such as Bloxburg. But now, if we go ahead and go to the game, it just says unavailable. And the weirdest thing is that I literally just recorded footage of the game right before it got taken down, meaning that it must have been removed a day ago. So, let's find out what happened here. This game was made by this proud developer right here with over 418 million visits, which was very good at the time and was made back in late 2016. Now, in case you forgot about how this game was like, or how it was played, or have never actually played it before, let me quickly show you the stuff that I got before it got removed. So, you would spawn in this map right here, and you could choose whatever role you'd want to be. You could be either a pet, teen, a parent, or a child. And yeah, personally me, I would never play these games back in the day, and the same may go for you. But many people enjoyed playing games like this. But even though many people enjoyed this, why did it drop off so badly? I'll say this in one word: admin. Admin commands were a thing in this roleplay game and could literally be bought for 999 Robux. And this is pretty self-explanatory. I guess it just gives you a load of admin commands to basically just destroy players just because you feel like it. I would have showed you how bad this can get in a server, but since it's unavailable, here's a clip of Poke using it in one of his past videos.
Oh my god. Oh my, it's breaking the map. The McDonald's. We gotta save people. Come here.
So yeah, I think you got the idea. This basically messed up the player count and caused most players to leave. Now, since this game was just removed, it was just because the game was left unrated. But either way, this game was still completely dead before it was removed. And that perfectly leads us on to the final game, which is Treasure Hunt Simulator. Now, Treasure Hunt Simulator has almost 1 billion visits, and it has grown to be very popular in a short amount of time. This because back when it was made in 2018, this game was consistently getting over 10,000 active players, which is crazy for a time like that, and has consistently been seen in the popular section of the Discover page. But if we take a look at the players now, it's quite depressing. I mean, it hasn't been able to reach over 1,000 players for months, and usually sits around 500 players. But if you guys forgot the concept of the game, let me quickly tell you, this game was basically a very simple simulator game. You would just need to dig up sand to fill up your bag, and as you're doing it, you can also find treasure along the way. And as you go down, the sand gets more harder to mine, and you can find better treasure. So yeah, this sounds pretty basic, and I'm not surprised that it lost all of their players due to how repetitive it could get. And it wasn't only this, but this game hasn't been updated since last year. Why? Because the developer is known to be working on other simulator games, like Saber Simulator. But it's not only this, because he also made a sequel to Treasure Hunt Simulator back in 2022, but hasn't been touched again for 3 years. So I guess from there, we can say that the same thing is going to happen to the first, and I think that's the perfect way to end it off. If you guys like this video, please do like and subscribe, as I put a lot of effort into these videos, and if I missed anything out, make sure to let me know in the comments. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one.